Today we start the long and tedious process of wet sanding the entire RX7. This is going to take a couple days. We need to do the entire car to remove orange peel, runs, polish the paint. There is an absolute ton. We're gonna ceramic coat everything afterwards just to get this thing looking absolutely minty. This was my first time painting a car, so there are definitely some imperfections, there are definitely some flaws, but we should be able to fix pretty much all of it. So I got some tools here we're gonna be using. Sandpaper, obviously, we have 1200, 1500, 2000, 3000. I've got a little extra 2000. I bought one of these touch-up system Tolly cut little sanding block thing. They're like micro sanding blocks that'll work for runs and help us out there. Razor blade wrapped up in some tape, a bucket of soapy water, a spray thing, and then I got some new rags over there also. These are probably the worst of the runs on the car. Everything else is maybe a run or two, but this is where I had my really big oopsie. Outside of these runs that are on this quarter panel here, everything else should be pretty standard, pretty easy of just wet sanding and polishing. So let's actually just start with this front fender right here. I think the way I'm gonna do this is take off the bumper, take off the headlight covers, take off anything that's kind of in the surrounding way, and we'll start at the front of the car, work our way forward, do fender, headlight bucket, bumper, get all of that reassembled on, and then jump over to doing like the door, the A-pillars, things like that, just so that way we can kind of move through this a little systematically. So aside from runs and things like that, one thing that we are gonna be fixing, and it's kind of hard to show you guys this, is the orange peel. There is texture in the paint, and what that is the paint laying uneven. So we essentially are just gonna be sanding it all smooth so that way it is even. So we're gonna start out on this fender here. We're gonna start with 1200, go to 1500, go to 2000, then go to 3000, and then we're gonna polish this fender, and it should give a really clean finish. So this one fender is going to take some time. All of this is going to take some time. So let's just get after it. Let's just start wet sanding away. I'm gonna apologize in advance to you guys for the amount of time lapse that I use in this video, because the amount of time that we spend wet sanding and polishing this car is roughly 5 days. And trying to just film it all in normal video, I don't even want to watch it. And this is really the only time lapse that you guys are gonna see that is not cut up, just to give you guys an idea of how long this really takes. This one fender took me about 2 hours to do. The rest of the time lapses you guys are gonna see are chopped up just to save you time and me time, because it takes a good while to get all this stuff cleaned up. I am gonna walk you guys through my process of doing all of this wet sanding and polishing and ceramic coating a little bit later in the video. Right now, we're just trying to get a head start on the amount of stuff that we actually have to do. 2 panels done, and that's this fender and this headlight bucket. Now, before I really show you guys this, I want to preface and show you this fender, because this is really what it looked like. See all that haze right there in the orange peel? That's what the other fender looked like as well. It's just a little bit of dry spray, as I was probably doing the last coat of clear. I probably misted over this and it just kind of dry sprayed on there. There is plenty of clear coat on this for me to sand through. I do want to say that now, but look at this side. I just did this headlight bucket, and it is, dude, it's just like a straight mirror now. It's so clean. There's not really any orange peel in it. I did leave a small amount, a very small amount of orange peel in this fender. It's very, very difficult to see, but I did that because I'm trying to be a little bit cautious as I go through this, because I don't want to burn through any clear coat, sand through any clear coat, anything like that. And I'm trying to give myself clear coat in the future to work with, to do paint corrections and things like that. So you got to keep that in mind when doing this. I know there's plenty on there. I did 3 coats of clear on the entire car. I'm just being a little bit cautious, but it's so freaking clean and it looks so good. Now, these 2 pieces alone have taken me about 2 hours just for this fender and that headlight bucket, and we have the whole car to go. So I will say masking things off definitely does help if that is something that you want a little bit of reassurance for. Is just mask off the areas for the panel that you're sanding. In our case, we're taking stuff off as well, like the headlight. Dude, it's so smooth. And we're gonna ceramic coat everything too. But just remove panels that are in your way. Don't try to wet sand around panels or anything like that. If it's your first time doing this like me, you're gonna want your bucket to look like this milky white color, and that is clear coat. If you start getting pink color in your water, that means you've sanded through the clear coat. And unfortunately the only way to fix that is to repaint that panel or respray that area. So like I said, be cautious when you do this. Last thing you want to do is sand through the clear coat and then have to redo it all. So with this fender and this headlight bucket done, we're gonna jump over to this side and do the same thing. We'll start with the fender, get the fender knocked out, do the headlight bucket, get those knocked out, and then once both of those are done, we'll reassemble our panels and we'll get on our carbon pieces, we'll get on our headlight buckets, get everything reassembled, because at that point they can just stay on the car and we can ceramic coat it all together. The panels don't need to be off. I just need some of the panels out of the way to be able to wet sand this stuff properly and polish it properly. So I'm working with what I can, so let's jump back into it. As I'm going through and wet sanding the car, I'm trying to do this in a systematic way where I kind of start at the front of the car and work my way to the back. So if I do one headlight bucket, I try to do the other. If I do one fender, I try to do the other at the same time, just to keep some type of rhythm for doing the car. If I'm already on that panel, I'd like to just do the mirrored side to get them both knocked out. You guys remember, there were some massive runs on this rear quarter panel. They did come out, but at a cost. I did get dangerously low in clear coat on this one spot, so I had to be very careful going through here. It was not a fun time. I don't think words can truly express how over wet sanding I am, but we've got both of the doors done, both of the front fenders, both the headlights. I have part of the rear quarter panel done. The area that had all of the runs when I was painting, those are all gone at this point. So it's like, it's nice, smooth, and totally blown out, but that's all right. All of the runs are gone in the rear quarter panel. So that is cleaned up. That came out awesome. I actually just pulled out the couple runs that I had in the wing on this side. There's one there and one there that I just got rid of. And as we're wet sanding and getting rid of these runs, it is cleaning up the paint a lot. Like you guys can see all that orange peel that's in the paint, all of that is coming out. Like this door came out like mirror finish at this point. So it's 100% a necessary thing to do if you're painting. Wet sanding the car is just gonna make it that much cleaner. It really is just a necessary evil. I bought one of these toll cut starter kits, which has been honestly awesome for helping to wet sand out a lot of the runs. They give you these little blocks. They've got a round one, a rectangular one, and a square one, and it just makes getting the runs so much easier, so that way you can really pinpoint the run and sand that out. So ideally, I want to get this done by tomorrow night. That is the goal, is to finish wet sanding this car by tomorrow night, because I want this car done Monday. Monday's when the axle shows up, so maybe Tuesday. It might be Tuesday. I want this car done Monday or Tuesday of next week. So we're gonna go focus on that rear quarter panel again. We need to do the side skirt kick panel area down by the carbon, and then kind of work our way up onto the roof. Once we're on the roof, we'll do probably half of the roof, the sunroof, and then start working our way down the other quarter panel on the other side. Once the quarter panels are done, all we have is the rear bumper, the hatch, the wing, and the front bumper. We are getting through this. I'm gonna be honest, this is my first time wet sanding a car, and my God, this takes so long to do. It's coming out good. I have made a couple oopsies though. Right there on the edge, and then there's one more on the other edge over there. And that was my fault. Like I said, this is my first time wet sanding, so I'm trying to be careful, but the edges sneak up on me, and it's not even that I'm wet sanding through it, it's that the pad will get away from me for a minute and just go bzzz. Now granted, I can touch all that up. I'm not stressed about it. I'm not worried about it. It's literally only the edge right there that it came up, but it's still, it just sucks, you know what I mean? Just got done with the top side of the wing, or the bottom side of the wing here, and here. There was a run over here, and that actually came out looking pretty nice now. Got a run I've got a couple. I've got one right here, and I've got another right there that I was going to kind of show you guys how I've been getting them out. Now, keep in mind, I am not a professional detailer. I'm not a professional painter. This is the first time I've ever painted and wet sanded and tried to do my own car. So there's going to be mistakes. You got to take that with a grain of salt. I tell people this all the time if they're doing DIY stuff on their car for the first time as well, is you're going to make mistakes. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. You're not going to be professional at it the very first time that you do it. Your first time doing it, don't expect perfection. Perfection comes with repetition, and this is the first time we are repertoiring this. So, you know, it's been quite the learning experience. I've found somewhat of a better method that works for me. Now, I am leaving some orange peel in the paint. I think that over time, that'll be a little bit better of an idea for me. That way I have a little bit of clear coat to work with in the future if we ever have to do some paint corrections. And on top of that, I don't want to sand too deep into the clear coat. Granted, I put 3 layers of clear on this, so it really should be thick. But like I said, on those edges and other spots, you just got to be so incredibly careful. I'm starting, in some cases, I'm starting at 800, then going to 1200, then going to 1500, then going to 2000, then 2500, then 3000, and then using a correcting pad with some, what is this, Meguiar's 110, and then going over to polishing. And it's been working pretty well, but you have to remember each process is going to remove a little bit of clear coat, and I think that's where I really made one of the mistakes when it came to burning through right there. With each step you're doing, 800, 1200, 1500, 2000, 2500, 3000, correcting pad, polishing pad, you are removing a little bit of clear coat every single step. So you have to leave a little bit of the orange peel behind, and as you go through, it will remove most of it, but you're gonna be left with a little bit left over. So be careful. You're gonna make mistakes. It's all right. Just be careful. So let's get rid of that run. Let's wrap up the wing, and then all we have left at that point is the rear bumper, the front bumper, and the hatch. This is day 4 of wet sanding and polishing and all this stuff. We've got our run here. There's another small one here. We'll just do them both. So I'm gonna start out with a razor blade wrapped in electrical tape, and we just kind of scrape away at the run. Don't pull, just push. Now we're gonna swap to these little blocks that I got. I got these from Japan, and they've been working pretty well. Wet the surface. I like to start with 800 and then go up to 1200. But I'm gonna hit the whole wing with 800 anyway, so I'm just gonna level it with 8. Because we gotta wet sand this entire side piece, because I saved this piece just to show you guys how I've been doing all this. But like I said, you don't wanna go all the way through the clear coat, so that's probably where I'm gonna stop on that. It's pretty level. Now, we're gonna hit this entire side with 800 grit lightly on a foam sponge. You gotta be careful with 800 because you can go through the clear quick. It's gonna knock things down a lot quicker, but it can also, in knocking things down quicker, it can also eat through things quicker. So a little difficult with white paint because you can't really see when you've gone through clear. White is white, but when you dry it, you can really start to see where the orange peel is and kind of where to focus on. So literally the entire wing still. Like I said, I'm not a professional, but you do not want to go all the way through the orange peel on the 800. You want to jump up to the 12, 15, 2000 and start to work it down, so that way you're not going to eat through the paint or the clear coat with the buffing pad. So I'll probably do one more pass on 800. I can already see our run is gone, so all the runs that were in here, the 2 runs, totally gone. Compound, I'm using Meguiar's 110. Seems to work pretty well. You just got to be a little bit, like I said, mindful of these edges. And then I'm going to keep the buffer on a lower speed. That already looks a million times better. There's no more orange peel in it. It's nice and smooth. It's shiny. Now we're going to polish it real quick. No more orange peel, runs are gone, corrected and polished. So pretty happy with that. The wing is done. All we have left now is the hatch, the rear bumper and the front bumper. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock out the rear bumper because the bumpers are gonna take some time. We're not actually done wet sanding yet, but I need a break from wet sanding for a little bit. So the physical car itself is all done. So what I'm doing right now is getting started on the ceramic coating. We're gonna end up doing 2 coats of this, one today, and then we're gonna have to let it sit overnight and then do one tomorrow morning. And the ceramic coat that I'm using is, some of you guys are gonna get all up in arms about it. The ceramic coat I'm using is Chemical, guys. It is their Carbon G-Force. I've used it in the past. I've had pretty good luck with it, so I already had a bottle sitting around, so that's what we're using. You wipe it on, let it sit for about 60 seconds, straight lines only when applying it, and then wipe it off. It'll harden, I want to say over like 20 hours or something like that. Also add a nice extra layer of UV protection for the clear coat, and it adds a nice little shine to it too. So all in all, it's a win-win. Ceramic coat, fresh paint, why would you not? It's kind of dumb not to at that point. Those of you that have built a car in similar fashion to what I've done with the RX-7, I'm sure you'll resonate with me when I need to wipe this entire surface. I'm sure you'll resonate with me when I say this, but I'm getting like RX-7 fatigue, where you work on the same car for so long, where you get tired of it. So I'm kind of at the point where I just want it to be done. So I'm trying to just kind of hammer through it. And not like rush anything, still do everything like properly, but you know, just get it knocked out. A, I don't have any fun cars that work right now. B, I just want this car to work. C, I've got other things that I need to get started on. I've let the ceramic coat sit overnight. It's now the next day. I'm just gonna knock this out real quick. We're just gonna knock out the second coat of ceramic coating, reassemble all the parts that we took off, and get the FD outside, because I wanna see what it looks like with the paint cleaned up. I can see that it still needs a little bit of work, but for right now, I think this is totally fine, and we could revisit cleaning up the paint again later, because it's day 5 of doing this. To give you some context, it is day 5 of wet sanding, polishing, ceramic coating, and I need a break from this for a long while. I don't want to have to do this again for a bit. So let's ceramic coat this thing. Let's get it done with. Let's get the FD pushed outside. Let's see what it looks like. I have a feeling it's gonna look 100 times better. So I've got the FD pushed out right now. There's a couple spots on the bumper that I am gonna have to go over and re-polish, but that's fine. I ordered one of those smaller, like 3-inch DAs to be able to get into some tight spots, because I do see some spots along the car where I do want to polish again, but my DA is just too big. I think I have a 6-inch, and getting into some of those tight spots just doesn't work. But the car looks so much better than it did before. I will say there are some small defects, like I said, and I want your guys' honest opinion. Don't just come in here and try to be a dick to me, okay? I want constructive criticism and honest feedback when I show you this. It's gonna be really hard to tell on camera, but overall, the car looks insanely better. Insanely. It is not perfect by any means, but you guys can see in the paint, like the paint itself looks 100 times better. Now there are some things I am noticing with this. In certain lights, you can see that some of the body panels are not perfect, and I don't really know if I'm gonna be able to pick it up on camera, but in person, you can definitely see that some of the body panels are not 100% perfectly smooth. And that goes back to the prep work of when we were primering and everything. I was using guide coat when I was doing the body work on this, but I don't think I used it enough or properly to be able to get all of the little spots out. Oh my God, that thing is white on camera. So I think from my learning, next time I do this, I'm gonna have to spend a lot more time on the prep work. This is not the last time I will paint a car. Over here on this quarter panel where I had the runs, there is one spot, and dude, it's like so incredibly difficult to like even see it. But in person, if you focus on this quarter panel long enough, right here is a light spot of paint and clear coat. And I think it's just from the runs. Like, in order to get the runs out, I had to go a little bit deeper on that to be able to get them all out. And I can kind of see a little bit of primer under that one tiny spot. It's about the size of a quarter. Now, I will say, as I was going through and wet sanding the car, I did notice something on the panels that I had painted later on, such as the doors, the fenders, the wing, the bumpers. There was more than enough clear coat for me to be able to work with to get those smooth and most of the orange peel out. The earlier things I painted, such as the body, I had to be a lot more careful with, because I think when I got those runs, I got a little bit scared with the paint gun, and I didn't want to mess up the paint job by getting more runs in the clear coat. So I think confidence is a big thing when going into the painting aspect, but I want your guys' full-on criticisms out. If you've watched the entire series and you've seen me paint this car, you just saw me wet sand it and protect it and all that fun stuff, what do you guys suggest I do to do better on the next car that we paint? I know if I had like a mentor here to help me do some of this paint stuff, it would be huge, but I don't. It's just me. So I'm always open to that constructive criticism from you guys. But overall, with this being my first paint job, my first time wet sanding a car to this extent, I think I'm pretty happy with the end result. I can still see some scratches in the clear coat, and I think that's just more wet sanding, to be honest, which I don't want to do. I'm not going to for a little while. If there's a better correcting compound that you guys may have in mind, please let me know. If I need to ceramic coat a panel or two again, it's really not that big of a deal. It doesn't take long to ceramic coat. I just normally will do 2 coats like we just did, so that way the ceramic coat lasts longer and gives the car better protection. But if there is a better cutting compound that you guys recommend, like I said, I was using the Meguiar's 110 for a lot of this, and it seemed to work pretty well. I didn't have a real good polish. I was going back and forth between a couple chemical guys, the ones I had, and some other ones, so I didn't really settle on like a polish that I love. But I will link below everything I used, so that way if this is something that you guys want to do, you totally can. I think I like the car better with the headlights up versus down. Anyways, let me get this thing pushed back in, because I need to jet out of here. I've got to go take the doggos to an appointment, and our axle actually showed up for this, so tomorrow and in the next video, we're gonna get this thing into a driving car. I'm excited for that. We're just gonna drive it around in here, but you know what? Baby step. That's all I got for you guys on this one. The next FD video, I believe, should be the last one before we start tuning the car. Axle goes in. We're swapping to my IC7 display, fixing the parasitic draw, bleeding the brakes, getting all the brakes working, getting them all installed, rear diffuser bracket, all that kind of stuff. So the next FD video should be a big one. Our mold for our carbon wing, the guys next door, that goes in the oven tonight. So the carbon wing blade for the FD should be done in a couple of days. And then at that point, it's waiting for our hood to show up, tuning the car. And then, oh, we gotta align it also, but that's all right. So anyways, with that, that's all I got for you guys on this one. If you liked the video, if you're hyped to see the RX-7 wrapping up, and if you're excited for the Subaru stuff coming up, I have one 911 video I have to do. which hopefully should fix the fucking misfire on that thing. But we got some Subarus build coming up. I got RCM dry sump sitting in there for one of my cars coming up. But with that, that's all I got for you guys. If you liked the video, you know what to do. Go and hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, slide, and whatever color turns for you. If you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to be able to put it in one of these corners, no idea which one quite yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies.